Hi and welcome to our latest episode of Carpool Readeoke. We're so lucky today to have head teacher, my great friend, and somebody I know you're so passionate about reading, aren't you?
I really am, actually. I love reading books, particularly children's books. They're the most important ones for me.
Oh, it's Sarah Sadler, everyone.
Hello, you're right.
And Sarah, you've come slightly differently dressed today. It looks really nice, yeah.
Well, I'm hoping this might be a clue to the book that I'm going to share with you, because it's one of my all-time favourites, and it's Harry Potter, the very first Harry Potter. And I remember this book coming out, can you believe, in 1997, which is a very scary thought. And I picked this book up and I wasn't sure what it was going to be all about, really, and I loved it. And I know lots of you have probably watched the films, but the books, it's all
So
about
much
the
better,
books.
yeah.
There's so much more description in it, and the bit that I'm going to read out to you, I'm hoping you might have the clue, because I'm going to read the bit where Harry first goes into the Great Hall and gets sorted into his house. So, are you ready?
Yeah, fantastic.
Okay, so the door swung open at once. A tall black-haired witch in emerald green robes stood there. She had a very stern face, and Harry's first thought that she was not someone to cross. "The first years, Professor McGonagall," said Hagrid. "Thank you, Hagrid. I will take it from here." She pulled the door wide. The entrance hall was so big you could have fitted the whole of the Dursleys' house in it. The stone walls were lit with flame torches like the ones at Gringotts, and the ceiling was too high to make out. A magnificent marble staircase faced them, leading to the upper floors. They followed Professor McGonagall across the flagstone floor. Harry could hear the drone of hundreds of voices from a doorway to the right. The rest of the school must have already been in there, but Professor McGonagall showed the first years into a small empty chamber off the hall. They crowded in, standing rather close together than they would have normally done, peering about nervously. "Welcome to Hogwarts," said Professor McGonagall. "The start of term banquet will begin shortly, but before you take your seats in the Great Hall, you will be sorted into your houses. The sorting is a very important ceremony, because whilst you're here, your house will be something like your family within Hogwarts. You will have classes with the rest of your house, sleep in your house dormitory, and spend free time in your house common room. The 4 houses are called Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin. Each house has its own noble history, and each one produced outstanding witches and wizards. Whilst you're there at Hogwarts, your triumphs will earn you house points, while any rule breaking will lose house points. At the end of the year, the house with the most points is awarded the House Cup, which is a great honour. I hope you will be a credit to whichever house becomes yours. The sorting ceremony will take place in a few minutes in front of the rest of the school, so I suggest you all smarten up yourselves as much as you can while you're waiting." Her eyes lingered for a moment on Neville's cloak, which was fastened under his left ear, and on Ron's smudged nose. Harry nervously tried to flatten his hair. "We shall return when we're ready for you," said Professor McGonagall. "Please wait quietly." She left the chamber, and Harry swallowed. "How exactly do they sort us into houses?" he asked Ron. "Some sort of test, I think. Fred says it hurts a lot, but I think he was joking." Harry's heart gave a terrible jolt. "A test? In front of the whole school? But he didn't know any magic yet. What on earth would he have to do?" He hadn't expected something like this the moment he arrived. He looked around anxiously and saw that everyone else looked terrified too. No one was talking much except Hermione Granger, who was whispering very fast about the spells she'd learned and wondered which one she'd need. Harry tried not to listen to her. He'd never been more nervous. Never. Not even when he'd taken the school report home to the Dursleys, saying he'd somehow turned his teacher's wig blue. He kept his eyes fixed on the door. Any second now, Professor McGonagall would come back in and lead him to his doom. Now, I think some of you might know what happens next from if you've watched the film, but you won't know the details of what goes on. And in this particular book, something different happens at the end of the book that doesn't happen in the film. So you all need to read the book from start to finish to find out how it's different if you have watched the film.
Thank you so much, Sarah. That's amazing. And you're right, there's so much description in there, isn't it? It's
There
unbelievable.
really is. It's my favourite for that. And if you get hooked into this one, you need to read all of them. They're all absolutely brilliant. So,
Oh, amazing. Thank you. And I know lots of you now will be reading on there. Thanks a lot for coming in, Sarah. And thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you next time on
Get
Carpool
reading.
Readeoke. See you later.